Hello and welcome to Crossfire, the show that dives into the heart of global conflicts, where nations collide, alliances shift, and lives hang in the balance. On tonight's show, we tell you how Russian oligarchs are secretly fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine in Ukraine. Also on the show, we tell you how Israel's reliance on artificial intelligence in fighting Hamas has resulted in massive civilian casualties. Stay tuned as we break down these critical developments and explore their impact on the future of global power and security. Behind the battlefield of Russia's war on Ukraine lies a covert, lethal network, an empire of wealth, industry, and influence quietly fueling the devastation. This isn't just a war of soldiers and generals, it's a war powered by Russian oligarchs, whose companies are deeply entwined with Russia's military-industrial complex. Now, as Ukraine faces a deadly barrage and Russia grapples with sanctions, one pressing question remains. Can we cut off these lifelines without triggering a global crisis? Our next report tells you more.
Behind the front lines of Russia's war on Ukraine lies a network that's as silent as it is lethal. A web of industry, wealth, and influence fueling the devastation. This is not just a story of generals and soldiers, but of billionaires and their corporations, quietly supplying the ingredients for destruction, while the world looks the other way. A shocking new report by Reuters reveals how some of Russia's wealthiest tycoons, billionaires like Roman Abramovich and Vagit Alekperov, are fueling the Putin's war machine. Let's start at the top of this pyramid. Roman Abramovich, known globally for his glittering tenure as the owner of Chelsea FC, and Vagit Alekperov, the oil tycoon hailed as Russia's wealthiest man in 2024. Their companies are household names in Russia, but their reach goes far beyond, touching Western markets and even your everyday supermarket. Their very companies are deeply entangled in Russia's war machine. Reports reveal that over 75% of the chemicals feeding into explosive production come from businesses linked to sanctions oligarchs like Abramovich and Alekperov, among others. While they claim plausible deniability, insisting their industries are strictly civilian, a forensic investigation into their supply chains tell a very different story. An analysis of over 600,000 rail shipments revealed the startling scale of chemical transfer to explosive plants owned by Rostec, Russia's state arms giant. These shipments included nitric acid, acetic acid, and ammonium nitrate, all essential for manufacturing high-powered explosives like RDX and TNT. While these billionaires are under sanctions, their chemical companies largely escape penalties due to their dual-purpose nature, producing both like civilian goods like fertilizer and components used in explosives. Western exemptions for food security to avoid famine in developing nations have created loopholes, allowing these companies to continue operations. Critics argue that it's time to rethink these policies. Washington points out that nations once dependent on Russian fertilizers now have alternatives. However, experts warn that sanctions could risk food supplies for millions of farmers globally. For Ukraine, this chemical lifeline to Russia's war machine has deadly consequences. In 2024, Russia produced over 2.4 million artillery rounds, supplemented by imports from North Korea. Ukraine, facing a shortage of explosives from NATO, is locked in a devastating artillery duel, with Russian forces gaining territory. Experts say that without cutting off these supplies, Russia's war machine will continue its deadly grind. These investigations exposes how billionaires and their businesses, veiled in civilian pretenses, fuel a war, leaving tens of thousands dead and millions displaced. As the world grapples with sanctions and ethical dilemmas, one question looms large. How can we close these loopholes without getting another global crisis?
Since Hamas's surprise attack on October 7th, Israel has relied on advanced AI systems to target key locations in Gaza with unprecedented speed. Developed over a decade, these AI tools prioritize rapid decisions, resulting in over 12,000 hits in weeks. But the focus on speed has led to a staggering civilian death toll, with over 45,000 killed, many of them women and children. As AI takes a larger role in warfare, will the world confront the ethical dangers of machines making life or death decisions? Our next report decodes it for you.
Since the outbreak of conflict in Gaza on October 7 last year, Israel has been using advanced artificial intelligence systems to target key locations with unprecedented speed and precision. But what many don't know is that these technologies, developed over more than a decade, have deep roots in the Israeli military's history. A recent report by the Washington Post reveals just how far-reaching Israel's use of AI has become in its operation against Gaza. Israel's AI factory, a term for its cutting-edge military AI system, has been quietly evolving for over 10 years. In 2020, under the leadership of Yossi Sarel, head of Israel's Intelligence Unit 8200, the use of AI technology reached new heights. Sarel, a staunch advocate for AI's potential, pushed the military to create digital arrest database, tapping into the vast digital traces to track enemy movements and locations. But as AI systems began to play a larger role in targeting, the speed of military decision-making became a priority, sometimes at the cost of accuracy. Soldiers worked in what was described as a target factory, with intelligence assessments taking just 3 minutes to process. In a conflict where the stakes are high, the urgency led to a staggering number of targets, 12,000 in just a few weeks. While the efficiency of AI in war is undeniable, some former Israeli military personnel have raised alarms. Critics argue that the emphasis on speed has significantly increased civilian casualties, with over 45,000 deaths in Gaza, many of them being women and children. The rapid pace of targeting has reduced the time for careful evaluation, and AI systems, though capable of analyzing millions of signals from drones, jets, and sensors, have come under scrutiny for their lack of human oversight. AI systems, designed to identify and target individuals and buildings in Gaza, have played a central role in Israel's attacks, with devastating consequences. As AI tools continue to advance, experts worry about the growing reliance on technology to make life and death decisions. As Israel continues its airstrikes and military operation in Gaza, one question remains: will the use of AI in warfare continue to evolve? Or will the international community push back against the ethical implications of machines making life and death decisions?
As tensions with Israel and the West escalate, Iran is racing to modernize its aging air force. In a bold move to strengthen its defenses, Tehran is now eyeing the F-17 Thunder fighter jets developed by Pakistan and China. Meanwhile, it's also in talks to acquire advanced Sukhoi 35 jets from Russia. But will these acquisitions be enough to counter Israel's superior air power? Our next report tells you more.
Amid escalating tensions with Israel and mounting pressure from the West, Iran is facing to upgrade its aging air force. In a dramatic move to bolster its defenses, Tehran is eyeing the F-17 Thunder fighter jets, developed by Pakistan and China, as the latest weapon in its arsenal. This comes on the heels of Iran receiving advanced Sukhoi 35 jets from Russia. But will this new acquisition be enough to counter Israel's powerful air force? Or is Iran playing a dangerous game? Iran's defense strategy has long been shaped by the constant fear of a potential attack from Israel and the US. With this in mind, Tehran is making a bold move to bolster its air force, turning to a new fighter jet option, the JF-17 Thunder. This fighter jet, developed jointly by Pakistan and China, has caught Iran's attention, especially the Block 3 version, which is hailed as more modern and capable. Despite its intent in the JF-17, Iran had originally hoped to acquire China's J-10C fighter jets, a model that Pakistan has already received. However, negotiations stalled over payment terms, with China insisting on cash while Iran sought to settle the deal with oil in exchange. With the J-10C deal on hold, Iran has turned to the JF-17 as a more attainable option, although concerns over the performance of the JF-17 linger. To further upgrade its fleet, Iran has turned to Russia, recently finalizing a deal to acquire Sukhoi 35 jets. These fighter planes will be assembled within Iran, making a significant step in the growing defense cooperation between Tehran and Moscow. Experts believe that Iran could eventually build up to 100 Sukhoi 35 jets, significantly enhancing its air combat capabilities. As Iran works to modernize its military fleet, the question remains: will these new jets give Iran the air power it needs to counter the Israeli threat? Or will this only escalate the arms race in the region?
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of Crossfire. Thank you for watching this. Stay tuned to India Today Global and Happy New Year.